Welcome to Retail Pricing Unlocked, the podcast powered by InsightTrack. With over 15 years of experience supporting retailers, we share expert insights and strategies to help you turn pricing into a competitive advantage. Now, here's today's episode.
So today we are taking a focused look into the world of retail pricing, competitive strategy, and what is often a pretty painful reality for trading teams. We're tackling a problem that quietly, and I mean relentlessly, just drains margin from retail businesses everywhere. And that's over discounting. Now, this isn't just about clearance sales. This is about otherwise strategic, really smart teams who end up cutting deeper than they need to, or promoting products that really didn't need any promotional push at all. So why does this margin bleed happen? And I suppose, more importantly, how do you stop it? To guide us through this, I'm joined by a pricing consultant from InsightTrack, whose work is really at the intersection of data and profitable trading strategy.
It's a pleasure to walk through this area. It's so vital for profitability today. You're right to highlight over discounting. Our data consistently shows it's one of the most common and yet, most avoidable causes of margin loss in the sector. But what we see is that the root causes are, well, they're often misunderstood. It's typically not a flawed overall strategy. Most retail strategies are sound. It's fundamentally a failure of visibility, a failure of context, really, at the point of action.
That's a crucial distinction, isn't it? Strategy versus visibility. So it shifts the focus from, say, bad decisions to just poor information. If trading teams are reacting quickly but they don't have the context, what are the biggest margin draining mistakes they're making?
Well, we see three primary actions, really, that stem directly from these visibility gaps. You can think of them as symptoms of competitive information poverty. So first, there's matching competitors blindly without understanding the reason for their move. Second is ignoring crucial stock and availability signals. And third, it's discounting key value items, KVIs, unnecessarily.
When you look at those actions, though, they sound like teams just trying to survive, trying to protect conversion, maintain their price relevance. But you're saying they become these reckless margin giveaways. I'm really intrigued by that conflict, that gap between good intent and, well, poor results.
That's exactly where the challenge lies. The intent protecting sales is right. Of course it is. But if the information behind that intent is incomplete, you end up giving away pure value for free. And the cost of this is huge. I mean, our analysis shows that for many high-volume categories, upwards of 40% of total promotional margin loss can be put down to matching competitors who weren't actually in a position to steal your demand.
Wow. Okay, let's start with that first point then. Matching competitor prices instantly.
Yeah.
That reflexive action, that's got to be the fastest way to lose margin when you didn't have to.
Absolutely. The default reflex is always to match. But the critical action, the thing you need to do, is pause and ask why the competitor moved. If you just match blindly, you're ignoring vital context. For example, a competitor might have overbought stock that they need to clear before a seasonal deadline.
Okay, so it's a fire sale for them, but not for you.
Right. Or they might be testing a short-term tactical clearance that only lasts, say, 72 hours. It just doesn't warrant a long-term reaction from your side. Or, and this is probably the most common, the heavy discount might only be happening in one channel, like their marketplace store, while their main e-commerce site is holding the line.
And if your team only sees that one low price and matches it across the board, you've basically just volunteered to take a margin hit for a problem that didn't even apply to you.
Precisely. We see retailers treat every competitor price drop as genuine market pressure that demands an immediate equivalent response. It's like setting off the store-wide fire alarm because one person in the warehouse burned their lunch. A lot of these movements are just competitive noise. They're not genuine threats. If trading teams only ask what is their price and not why are they selling at that price, they are guaranteed to lose margin unnecessarily.
I do understand the instinct, though. The instinct to match quickly to protect that conversion. But hold on, if you don't match instantly, isn't there a risk that the customer just assumes you're overpriced and goes to the competitor anyway, regardless of their stock level? Doesn't the speed of the match protect the immediate sale?
That's a very fair challenge, and it really speaks to the fear that drives all this reactive pricing. The key here isn't to delay the reaction indefinitely, but to target it. If you have real-time visibility, you'll know within minutes if that competitor is genuinely a threat or if their stock level actually makes them harmless. I mean, if the intelligence shows the competitors down to their last 10 units, you can afford to hold your price for a few hours. You sell your stock at full margin, let them clear out, and you actually absorb their demand without absorbing their price cut.
That leads perfectly into the second core mistake then, ignoring stock and availability signals. It seems bizarre that pricing and stock would ever be disconnected, but operationally they often are, aren't they?
It's a massive operational and financial disconnect. Pricing teams are often working off competitive price reports, while inventory teams are looking at entirely separate internal stock files. And the data latency just means the price team might be seeing a stock report that's 24 hours old, or they might not be factoring in competitive stock availability at all.
And the cost of that must be huge.
Oh, it's staggering. Imagine you sell a popular product, let's say a high-end coffee maker, for 200 pounds. Your competitor drops their price to 180, and your system automatically matches. But if that competitor had just sold out, you've just lost 20 pounds of pure margin on every single unit you sell from that point on.
All because you didn't check their shelves before changing your own price.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You had a temporary market monopoly, and you just gave it away.
So understanding competitive stock, it doesn't just prevent wasteful promotions when they're out of stock, but it helps you spot those windows of opportunity where you can hold your price and protect your profitability.
That's it. It prevents promotions that make zero operational sense. If you're discounting when conditions change, either the competition runs low or maybe your own stock is dwindling, you are literally devaluing a product at the exact moment you should be maximizing its worth.
Okay, so let's move on to the third area. Key value items, or KVIs. These are the crown jewels, right? The products customers use to judge your entire price perception. If these are discounted without need, how damaging is that?
It's severely damaging because KVIs are already priced on razor-thin margins to maintain that competitive precision in the first place. So any unnecessary cut hits your bottom line much, much harder than a cut on a peripheral item. The real opportunity here is using data to understand when a KVI is genuinely influencing perception versus when the market actually allows you to hold firm. A lot of retailers just fall back on repeating historic behaviors. They run the same Black Friday deal or the summer sale deal on the same KVIs, the same depth, regardless of what's happening in the market right now.
And that leads straight to that fourth mistake you mentioned, the invisible one. Relying on these old historic playbooks. The digital retail cycle is just so much faster now.
It is. The environment today is faster, more variable, and promotions are far more personalized than they were even 3 years ago. Repeating last year's promotional calendar, so running the same discount depth in the same week as you did in 2023, that almost guarantees you're over-discounting by default. You're basically pricing against a nostalgic view of the market, not the live reality. It treats every year as identical and ignores supply chain shifts, changing competitor intensity, all the immediate tactics of your rivals.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the symptoms. Reactive pricing, ignoring stock, using outdated rules, and it all stems from a lack of visibility. So let's shift to the solution. How do retailers get out of this reactive firefighting mode and into a disciplined, strategic approach?
The shift is structural, and it is entirely rooted in adopting high-quality pricing intelligence PI. It has to provide visibility, context, and a structured decision framework. It's not about collecting more data. It's about collecting smarter data and then making it actionable and at speed.
Right, so let's break that down. How does this actionable intelligence actually solve the core problems we've been talking about? You mentioned 4 key areas where it can transform the outcome.
Yes. So the first benefit is providing better context behind competitor movements. Good PI gives you the complete picture. It looks at not just the price, but the promotional mechanics. Is it a bundle? A loyalty discount? What's the duration? Is it available nationally? This level of detail, it allows trading teams to separate genuine existential market pressure from those isolated short-term tactics.
So you know immediately if you're facing a serious long-term price investment from a rival or just one competitor trying to clear old inventory by tomorrow morning.
Exactly. And this leads to the second key benefit, improved timing and selective depth. When teams understand the context, they can practice what we call precision pricing. So instead of a blanket discount on a whole category, they target the right SKU at the right moment, using the minimum viable depth needed to stay competitive.
Minimum viable depth, I like that.
Yeah. So if the competitor moved by 10%, but they're facing high stock pressure and you aren't, the PI might show that only a 5% cut from you is needed to capture the demand. You protect half the margin.
That concept alone is powerful. It stops the retailer from automatically just cutting to the bone every time.
It fundamentally changes the conversation. It goes from how low do we go to how little do we have to give away. The third area is better KVI protection. Accurate, real-time KVI tracking is just essential. It lets commercial teams confidently hold the price on those critical items when their perception is strong. They can avoid those unnecessary cuts that just erode already thin margins.
Because they have the data right in front of them proving they don't need to move.
That's right. They can prove that at this moment, the competitor is not underselling them on the products that truly define value. And the fourth benefit, it addresses that core operational failure we talked about. The disconnect between stock and price.
The most critical fix, really.
Absolutely. Aligning pricing, stock, and promotions. Proper PI incorporates real-time availability signals, both yours and your competitors, directly into the price reporting feed. This stops that disastrous situation where the pricing team discounts an item that the stock team knows is already running low. When these signals are linked, you prevent wasteful promotions. The system basically protects you from yourself.
It sounds like promotions stop being this sort of desperate panic button that everyone dreads, and they become a calibrated strategic lever you can pull with real intent and precision.
That is the transformation. It's the move from reactive discounting, where you are always playing catch-up, to a disciplined, margin-protecting promotional strategy.
Now, all this advanced pricing intelligence sounds brilliant, but you mentioned something important. That insight has to be delivered where people actually work. If you have to wait for the weekly PDF report, the trading decision has already been made or maybe missed entirely. How do you get this into a fast-paced retail environment?
That's absolutely key. The data is worthless if it's just sitting in a silo. Decision-making today moves far too fast to rely on those traditional static reporting cycles. The insight has to be delivered in flexible formats that teams are already using.
Right. I can imagine buyers are still deep in their spreadsheets, but commercial teams probably need a more high-level visual overview.
Exactly that. So we need structured Excel packs sent directly to category buyers. We need dedicated, visualized insights integrated seamlessly into Power BI or Tableau dashboards for commercial managers who need those macro-level views. And crucially, for revenue managers or the automated pricing engines, we need direct API feeds. That allows the pricing algorithms to ingest competitive stock and price context in real time, often down to, sub-minute latency.
The technical complexity of providing those API feeds to revenue managers sounds pretty substantial. Is that level of integration common, or is it still quite cutting edge for most retailers?
It's becoming essential, not cutting edge. If the insight isn't delivered at the moment of decision, whether that decision is made manually by a buyer or automatically by a pricing engine, it just won't influence behavior. Static reports are really historical documents. API feeds and integrated dashboards, they are the live control panels for commercial teams. That immediate integration is what separates the strategically profitable from the reactively discounting.
So, to bring this exploration to a close, what does a good precision promotional strategy look like in practice for a retailer using this kind of intelligence from InsightTrack?
Well, good promotions always fulfill their purpose. They create momentum, they deliver the required lift in demand, and they strengthen the customer's value perception. And fundamentally, they protect margin. The trading teams shift from firefighting and guessing to executing a structured strategy. They gain the ability to discount with intention, to match with calculated context, and to protect profitability while staying competitively sharp. It's about being effective, not just busy.
It sounds like the trading teams can stop chasing their tails and actually start maximizing the profit opportunity in every single market movement.
That's the goal, converting competitive noise into controlled commercial opportunities.
Brilliant discussion. And I think the big takeaway is this. Retailers don't over-discount because they're careless. They do it because the right visibility isn't in place. Give your teams the right intelligence, and precision becomes the norm, not the exception. If you enjoyed this episode, hit follow, share it with your team, and stay tuned for more insight-led episodes. Until next time, price smart, trade confidently, and don't give away margin you don't have to.
You've been listening to Retail Pricing Unlocked, brought to you by InsightTrack. For more resources, case studies, and expert support, visit insighttrack.com. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and join us again next week.